Hello and welcome to Lord of Dwarves Alpha. This is a very new game that hasn't even been released yet, I believe, to the public. And the only reason I'm playing it is because the developer of the game, this one guy, has been working on this game for 4 years by himself. A gentleman by the name of Nick was very kind and he sent me a key so I could activate it and play it for you guys. So I'm very grateful he sent me that, and I've been kind of playing it for a little while now, just because I wanted to get the basics already figured out and ready, so that when I made a video we weren't stumbling too much. I mean, I'm probably forgetting some things, and I'll probably do things wrong, but mistakes will be made, and that's how I roll. But here we go, guys. Lord of Dwarves. So the game is basically you start out with a group of dwarves, and after that you do what you want to do with them. You can either take it real nice and slow and learn the game, or just play the game and relax and build up a fortress like this nice thing back here. Or you can challenge yourself in different degrees of difficulty, and I'll get into that later on. But here we go. So the basics are, there's the campaign mode right now, which is a tutorial, and it pretty much does that. It will teach you the game mechanics, the basics, the controls. It has a little bit of a storyline. I really like it. It's got a good pace to it, and it has somewhat of a purpose rather than just make this, make that, and this is why. It shows you what to do and then the reasoning and stuff. So it's pretty cool. And then the meat and potatoes is the Sandbox mode, which we're going to start today. So we're going to start a new Sandbox game, and I'm going to probably compare this quite often to Memoria, and that's mainly because that's about the only game I've played that's really close and similar to this. Some people might say maybe a little Dwarf Fortress, but like I said, I've never played it. A little bit like Minecraft too, in that everything's made out of blocks, and you can make and terraform the voxel world to what you want, and you can make stuff in the world out of those blocks. And also that it's nice and bright and cheerful. No, Mario is a little bit on the darker, more bland side, I feel, sometimes. But this one, I like the tones, and the graphics are pretty nice too. But anyways, let's do this. So we got random world, or we can make one. I'm going to go the easy way and go random. Stone Quarry Ram. Dwarfville, why not? And then we got presets if we want to. Just make it quick and easy. Or we can choose. Excuse me. Now this is what I'm talking about as far as how you want to play the game. You can either have no goal to be doing or preparing for and just play the game, or you can make a different end game kind of thing. So we have a monster invasion, demon invasion, elite monster, and twin elite monsters. Now, I have not quite faced any of these guys. I did pop open a cave. I went a little too deep too quickly, and demons came out of it, so that was a horrible thing. But I have fought some monsters in the tutorial. These are probably just large groups that will eventually show up at one set date, depending on what you want to do. And then these guys, I have no idea. I imagine they're actually quite large monsters that you have to fight. There might be some little guys with them, but I have no idea. But maybe one day we'll try them. And then also you can change. So you can either prepare for 1 year, or you have 10 years to prepare for. And then again, you can also change the difficulty of those invasions. So we're not going to do anything. We're just going to take it nice and slow and easy. Try to survive. And then if we do another replay, then I might probably go with an invasion one. That sounds fun. Now, the different terrain here, we got different options. I'll go with a medium world size, so we have multiple, areas to start to build in. So we have options. We got different geography types if we want to. I'm going to change the height. I don't want it too bumpy, just because that means I have to terraform more, and I don't like to. I just prefer to kind of build with the terrain, and it just takes more work to do that. So I'm going to go with a little flatter area this time. You got seeds, so if you like what you see, you can play it again or share with your friends. And then, of course, there's creatures. No, in Memoria, there's only, I believe, 4 types of monsters, or things you had to fight. There was the goblins, the ogres later on, and then the underground things, which were, I think, beetles and spiders. It's been a while since I played. But that was it, and they were all melee guys. In this one, there's a little bit different mixtures. Like I said, there's monsters, there's the demons, there's the elite things, and then there's the different monsters in itself, and they also have different degrees. Everything was melee in Memoria, and so you had, different ways of defeating them. Like, I eventually made just a box, and everything fell into it, and I would just shoot it with crossbows like crazy, or guns. In this one, you don't really have that luxury, because sometimes they shoot back. That's right, there is melee and ranged weapons. There's also sieging. This is another part of this game. This guy made this game. It's not so much the, maintaining your dwarves so much. That's, there. You have to feed them and give them, beds, structures, food. I think I said food. Maybe it was food and drink. I don't know. Food and drink, they have to eat and drink. But that's not so much a tedious job, and it focuses more on the combat and building up structures and stuff, which is kind of a cool pace. And so, anyways, here we go. We got goblins, gnolls, orcs, or we can have a mix. I'm going to go with goblins so far. The gnolls were actually like two-legged wolf creatures with bows, so that was kind of a nice change. So we're going to go with goblins. I'm going to keep these all normal except for harassers. They still show up, so I don't want them too much of a problem. Elite monsters, I'd rather not mess with those, so we're going to leave that. There is wildlife, so we can change the degree of how much wildlife shows up pretty much for hunting, for extra food. Or we can pacify them and domesticate them. Well, I should just say domesticate. We can domesticate the passive ones so that we can have them for like collecting other resources. Change how many dwarves we start out with, either 1 to 50, or we can change their skill level so they have none to max. Depending, like I said, there's different options to make it whatever challenge you'd like. Same with all the starting resources on the map, underground resources, and then what's starting with your inventory at the beginning of the game. Food, tools, arms, all that kind of stuff. And then advanced. We're going to change this one a little bit because it is slightly dark at night, as it should be, but it gets a little too dark sometimes. And also YouTube, so to make my life a little easier, we're just going to change that to 14. And let's do this. Bunnies! And here we are. So here is our world that we chose to be created. As you can see, it's a good size for medium. So we got multiple options as far as picking where we start, which is also a cool feature in this game. Some games, similar to like RimWorld, where you start out with a group of people, they give you certain resources, and then they plop you on some map in kind of like a random spot. Well, sometimes that random spot is not the best, and you end up like picking up everything you just got and moving it to the other side of the map, which is time consuming and tedious. This one, we can actually start and pick where we want to start. So, I mean, it's not really a big thing, but it's nice because we start out with a lot of resources. The map is quite bountiful as far as resources go, so you don't have to really worry about where you start, but it's just all about your preferences. And I kind of want to find someplace somewhat flat next to a bunch of trees, because that's our biggest beginning resources, trees. We will do mining, but all that's underground, so it doesn't matter where you start. This is kind of a nice spot. There's a little divot here. And also food, but everything has food surrounding it, so I think possibly over here someplace. I don't want to go too close to the edge of the map because that's where everything spawns. And they spawn randomly on the edges of the map, so it's not too big of a deal, but it gives us a little longer to prepare for stuff. There's a lot of trees on this one. Let's go probably right over here. This looks like a decent spot. So let's go ahead and plop them down right here. So we look wherever you're looking in the middle of the screen usually is where it's going to go. So we'll start here. And there we go. And close. And there we go. We have our starting dwarves, our starting resources. We have food. We have water. We have some torches, some weapons, some leather, some armor and weapons. And we, of course, have our dwarves. Over here we have the different layers of the earth. So we can go up as far as 40. And then we can go down and down. And eventually we start going through the earth. And it just keeps going. I think it goes quite deep. And there's different layers to the earth. And yeah. So we also have the food quantity, our drink storage, everything that's unhauled, which is kind of nice. Tells you, hey, you need to either fix your storage or you need to start picking up stuff. Because, one, it probably helps performance. And also, it helps keep your dwarves knowing what's in your inventory. Like, they won't build stuff until they find it. And I don't think they really sometimes register unless it's in storage. No, I could be lying about that, to be honest. And then, of course, your idle dwarves. No idle dwarves. And we also got this guy up here in the corner. That's mostly for the storyline. And then we have the Dwarfopedia. All that fun jazz. And then we have our dwarves. So we start out with a carpenter, a stonemason, a farmer, a builder, a assembler, a laborer, a cook, another farmer, and a doctor. So that's pretty good. And then, of course, we always start out with one warrior. Now, the warriors in this game don't actually do anything except for combat. So that you can't be changing all your dwarves into warriors. It's a one-time process, you know. If you turn him into a warrior, you can't change him back. And they don't do anything besides fighting, so you won't be able to use him to do his old job like he used to. So you have to be careful about that. And, of course, there's the monsters when they show up, and then the wild animals if there's any. And, yeah, so that's that part. Combat we'll get into later, animals we'll get into later, and resources is pretty much the same thing. It just shows everything we have available to us at this time. Workshops, traps, equipped and placed items. And then that's about it so far. And then we have all of our hotbar stuff down here for our items, or all of our mining, carving out, building, and placing, swapping. We'll go ahead and start this. So we need to actually first here, go over here. We need to start making tools. Our guys do start out with tools, but they can only do so much with them. For instance, they can only mine certain materials like dirt and granite, I believe it was. After that, you have to have a mining station with stone picks in it, and that's your first tier of mining, and we can start going deeper into the earth. But we need some stone, so we can smack these to get us little rocks, which we can use to make our first tools. We're also going to need some extra food because this won't last forever. But I like to farm a little bit farther away for those beginning resources, so we have emergency ones close at hand. So I'm going to collect some of those, and probably these, and then some of these. These basically don't provide food, but they would give us straw, which is necessary for building materials like ropes, bandages, and beds, which will be very important, as I'll explain later about population. And then they have chances of dropping seeds, which we can use to make other seeds that will produce food. So that's a cool feature. Other than that, these things would drop us water in case we need extra water. These are rain roots. Turnips, we eat those. And then mushrooms, we just eat those, but we can cook them if we need to. But I don't think cooking does much at this point. Other than, I will say, farming is very crucial, but we can't farm too quickly. Because in this game, when a dwarf eats a potato, he eats the potato and the seeds if it's raw. But if you cook the potato, you'll get a cooked potato, which they like more, and you get a seed from the potato so that you can grow more potatoes. So if you start growing stuff and you can't actually cook your food, your dwarves are literally eating the only food you have, and you will have nothing to grow later on. So you have to kind of curtail yourself in the beginning and forage lots and lots of resources. Like literally, I've gone a whole year from spring till next spring just foraging until I got enough stuff to actually make a cooking station, because the cooking station to cook your grown food needs a metal knife, and you can't get metal for a while. So depending on how quickly you go, you're going to be eating your only food if you go the other way. So let's go ahead. I hope that made sense. Let's go ahead and make a station here, or storage spot, and equip some weapons and armor, or we can store it there. Make another one here for food and drink, and then for now we're gonna make one here for agriculture until these bushes are gone, because we don't really need those either. And then we're also gonna need some wood to begin with. So we got stone, food, and wood. So we go here. What do we want to start out with? We got different trees. We got yew trees, we got oak trees, and we got pine trees. Let's go ahead and start clearing out some pine trees over here, just because the wood makes a little more difference, I think, for combat wise, but for building wise, pine is just a good starter. And then we can save this for later. Like, I'm pretty sure the arrows and bows possibly make a little difference, but there's literally so many trees that I'm a little picky that way in the beginning. I don't know. We'll probably make stuff out of this. Also, the different colors. This will be nice green wood, and then we have the oak wood, and then I don't remember what yew looks like, actually. But there we go. We got that going. And then what else do we need? Some equipment. Make this for the animals since there's already leather there. And then we'll do one for here for equipment. And then up here, we'll go ahead and make one. And we'll make this for the wood. And then this one will be for any stone and other bits. Now, We literally have just tools that they gave us at the beginning and nothing else. So in order to start going deeper into this game, we need workshops, which is this next little section. So we need a basic wood shop, which we're going to stick over here. Right here probably. And now we get us our beginning stuff. And then we also need a basic stonemason. Oh, not that it. We need a stone tool guy. There it is. Stick him right here. So we can start making stone tools for these workshops so we can start doing all the fun stuff we need to do. But yeah, this is it has some depth to it, I'd say, and it has a little bit of a learning curve because you gotta figure out what these stations are. I mean, it's pretty obvious what they are in the titles, but it's more about what they produce and then who produces it. Like certain stations, you need a certain worker, and so sometimes you don't get workers because they'll randomly show up, which I guess is a good time to say about the population. Right now, we can have 12 out of 12 dwarves without any beds placed. And that's what really curtails your population, is what kind of beds and how many beds you have. So unlike other games where you can just place as many beds as you possibly want, and they'll spawn in things for them to sleep in, this game you can only place so many of a certain type of bed before it's useless. So right now we're going to try to go for, well, eventually, pallets, which allow us up to 30 dwarves as a population cap. After that, we have to start making better beds, and that will have a population cap, and then we have to make better beds after that, and after that I think there's a couple more. But that's how the population cap works. So it's a nice way because literally the best asset you have is these dwarves. They are your workforce. They are how you get more people in here to be warriors or hunters or all that, because they have skill levels. Everyone that pops in here will be a certain job skill, and the more dwarves you have, the more likely you'll have somebody that has that certain skill level to do that job better. So dwarves are very important. I mean, you can change these guys' jobs, but they will have to start leveling up. Like, for instance, this farmer has 12 skills in farming, and he also has a little bit of skills in hauling. Whereas the hauler, the laborer here, has already 10 skills in hauling, and he's actually quite a speedy guy. For instance, if I go here and click, he's got a +5 to movement speed, whereas some of these guys, +1. I don't quite know what determines that, but they are always the quickest guys. So it's kind of nice having laborers because that's their best job, and it's kind of hard to train that to make dwarves quicker. Anyways, let's go on to the next step. So we need some tools. We're going to need a saw, and we're going to need a hammer, and depending on what's underneath us, we might need some more stuff here. We'll probably need a couple knives and a chisel and a hammer for later. So we're just going to queue up those. Cool thing, we can pick what kind of materials we want. We can change it so that we can always maintain a certain tool if we want to, but that's not really crucial. Over here we can do the same thing. We're actually going to do that here. We're going to say I want 3 tables at all times because tables are quite useful in the beginning. Constantly need them for all these different workshops, so you might as well have that queued up. We're also going to need a couple of log racks, and then straw mats are where basic beds are, but I usually skip those until I just go straight to pallets, to be honest, because then you have to tear these apart, or they're just lingering around, and I don't know. I just go for the pallets. They're pretty easy. There's wood and grain, so it's not much more to make them. And of course, you can make a bonfire, a light source that will burn for 1 night, but torches last forever, and we can have those later on. Okay, so these go in there. Also going to need a stockpile for furniture. Probably stick it over here. Furniture. And then now that they got rid of those plants, I can make this a little bit bigger because we're going to need lots of space for this. Lots of straw will be coming out of there. And then we'll expand this a little bit more. In fact, you can expand it that way. So it's cool. You just hover over the stockpile that's already there, and you can just click and drag to expand it, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so that's going. We got wood chopping. We got, well, not really. Because we don't have a woodcutter. Our guy that's our carpenter, if we go ahead and click on this, we go to the carpenter, we see that he does wood crafting, and if he has nothing to make with wood, then he'll cut down trees. So that's how the process works. You can change, add more jobs if you want to. Probably do that right off the bat because one of these jobs eventually we're going to need is for the cook. He has nothing to do for a while, like I said, until we have a cook station or meat to cook, but we can't make meat because we don't have a butcher station because it needs a metal knife as well. But what we're going to need sooner or later is a well. In order to make water out of the well, you need a brewer. But until we have one, the cook might as well do it. So we go over brewing. There it is. And we hover that and you throw that right in there. Easy peasy. Now he's a brewer and a cooker, but we can change the order. So let's go ahead and speed things up. We'll place a couple torches. They do work, I believe I saw that someplace, more efficient if there's a light source nearby. They don't like working in the dark. They, you know, can't see very well. So we'll put some light torches there. The other cool thing about this game is the building is so nice. Like literally if I hover over here and say I wanted to make a wood wall out of these blocks, make it oak or whatever, pine, I guess, I can change the height rather than having to go layer by layer and placing it, go up a layer, place, go up a layer, place, like Nomoria, and building floors. That was a pain too. We just basically can make the wall as big or as low as we want, and then I just click and drag, and boom, we have a giant wall that they'll start making, which I don't want. That's a massive wall. That is massive. So we go ahead and click and drag. If I can get it all, and it's gone now. Same with canceling, you can do it. Stairs, so if we wanted to carve down here to find out what kind of stones in the area, which is actually a good idea. So let's go ahead and carve out probably that. And then we can start digging down, and we can see if we're going to have to build a certain station right off the bat to start digging up stone, or if we can get lucky and we can find some granite underneath this dirt. We shall see. Alright, I didn't really want that though. I don't know why I ended up with a pine block there. That was an accident, but that's fine. Misclicked. Okay, how's everything going? We got the woodcutters going like crazy. Everything else is going good. So let's go ahead and get the builder to get us. I guess it's in the first tier. See, there's different tiers, so you can keep track of everything. I like that. Carpenter workshop. And right here we can tell it what we want to use to make it if we really, really wanted to. But I'm just going to make it out of this and stick that right there for now. And then we can start working on some other stuff, because this will open up more things that we can create at the carpenter station itself. And I think that's plenty of wood for now. In fact, we need more storage for all this wood. Now the storage, as you can see, is kind of nice. I mean, it's not just one item goes on one little square. It's multiple items depending on them. So here we have 6 logs stacked in one pile. Here we have 4 rocks stacked in one pile. There's coal. Now because it's small, it's really nice. It will stack and start making a giant ring. Same with the dirt, which is very cool. And that it's a small thing. Why does it need to make so many spaces for just one little item? Same with the food and that will stack together. But we can make storage to make things much tighter looking and more efficient. But that takes time and resources, which we don't quite have. Okay, our miner is done, so we'll go ahead, go make some stairs, and we're just going to make them right here. And look at that, I can scroll up, down, whatever I want to make these stairs. Let's go down some and have them start digging that way. Actually, yeah, that's fine. He's going to tear out that. I should have made it one step farther, but that's fine. So let's see, what should I say? Did we get lucky? We got lucky! Okay, so in the beginning there's like different layers of stone. Oh, we didn't get very lucky. Oh, we did. That's granite still. It's just yellow from the highlight. Granite we can mine with our rusty picks, which is what we start out with. But later we're going to have to make a mining tech depot. I believe it's called. Yeah, mining tech depot. And it needs 18 pickaxes and 3 tool racks. And it basically, whatever the lowest tier pickaxe that's in it, will determine what kind of materials you can mine with. And so eventually we're probably going to have to make one to start mining deeper to get better resources like metal and that. And but we got lucky in that we could mine this beginning resources. So let's go, let's see. Let's go about here. And let's start digging out a little bit more of this, just to give us a little bit of an idea. And hopefully we can maybe find some coal or something down here for more torches. And then we'll probably just keep going deeper, because we can go down to layer 0, which is pretty close to where I stopped. And that's the safest the last level that's safe. After that, you have to light up every dark spot because things will spawn out of the darkness. And once you start going deeper, you'll find caverns. And these caverns will sometimes have things already living in them, and they will come out and try to eat your faces. And we don't want that to happen too quickly, so we're going to try to play it safe until we get more people in here. So what do we got here? We got another carpenter. Perfect. I need more carpenters. We need to, like, gosh, the beginning it's all about the wood, and then later it's all about the stone, and then perfect, another farmer. We're going to need food and stuff all the time. But eventually we're going to need lots of farmers because the farms take some work to get done. Because, let's see, yeah. In this game, it's a little different in that it's, you plow an area for your farm, but you also have to water it. And so maintaining the water and then planting stuff, it takes quite a workforce to keep that going. Speaking of which, drink is getting a little low, and it's going to be a little bit of time before I get that mine or my well done. So I'm going to go back here. We're going to collect some more water from those things and some more turnips while we're here. Because we got turnips there, and we got water here. There we go. Okay. So the carpenter's done. So we're going to need a few things from here. Again, we're going to make sure that we always constantly have 3 tables at all times. We're also going to need some chairs. So let's go ahead and craft up some chairs. We're also going to need another carpenter since we got 2 now. So let's make another saw and a hammer. And then, well, we got 2 workers. We can always go here and make some more log racks from that guy. Actually, we don't need that many chairs right off the bat. I'm going to need some bins here. So yeah, here's all the stuff we can make. So we got chairs, tables, cupboards are for storage, pallets are beds, which we're going to make eventually. We need 4 logs and 6 grain for those. And we can make those up to, yep, max pop is level 30. And then we have, of course, storage. We got log storage, so we can store, I think it's 12 logs instead of 6. We got weapon racks for the weapons, so they're not all over the floor. Same with the armor, tools, ammo. Oh my gosh, guys, ammo is so crazy in this game. You can make this one spot, and it has tons and tons of arrows, and it looks cool too because of the spiral formation. And you can hold tons of ammo on it. And then we have bins for storage, barrels for drink, pedestals for fancy stuff, fences, gates, doors, reinforced doors, which need rope, which we'll get into next, and then a well roof, we're going to need one of those. Ladders for climbing up and down, scaffolding for building, which is really cool. Nomori had it too. But these guys, you can either have them automatically build it, or you can tell them where to make it. Graves for when people die, coffins, wood spears, and bucklers for weapons to begin with. Let's go ahead and unpause that again. Okay, so we don't need stone for a while. He is all done digging that part down. So let's go ahead and have him mine this last little bit, and we'll go down to layer 0, and we'll mine out again a little area so that we can start up our, I guess we'll call it our main stone storage, because there's no sense hauling all this stone from underground all the way to the surface if we're going to just, turn it into stone blocks, which can then be hauled upstairs for building ease of access. But, I mean, might as well make it like the medium area, so it's not too tedious to make stuff all the time. Our haulers, they're busy already enough that we don't need them too crazy. He's probably asleep right now, which I guess is what we should probably work on as soon as possible. We need a well, so we have a constant source of water, because that's going to be our biggest problem. We can forage for food for, like I said, a whole year, and we'll be fine. It takes a little longer, but it works. But the drink is a little bit of a nuisance, so we have to get that going. And everybody's falling asleep. Then we got to start making beds as quickly as possible so we can have more dwarves, because we already hit our cap already. Look at this. See, this is the log rack, and they hold up to, I guess it's 8 logs, it looks like. Unless they put another row on top of those. I haven't actually made them. I always just put them on the ground. I was just playing around, but I'll try to be a little bit tidier. Oh, I know what we need. We need one more pile for stuff to go into, and this isn't a pretty pile. It's kind of gross. We need for dead things. And basically rotten meat. So what happens is, when things die, after a certain period, they will turn into a rotten pile of meat. And when you get near a corpse or rotten meat, you have dwarves that will say they got sick. I don't really know if it makes any difference, but it happens. But we wanted to keep it at, a safe distance so that we can get to it because it's useful later on, but just so it's not sitting around where all these dwarves are walking. I mean, this is kind of close, but I can always move it later. Okay, there's so much stone here. Look at all the stone. Okay, what do we need? We need to make some more things. So let's go ahead and queue up some stuff. We need a hunter's workshop so we can make some more stuff. So we're going to need more chairs. So let's go ahead and stick you. You know what? Let's get rid of that boulder because that's in the way. Let's go ahead and put hunter's right. Oh, I can't almost fit it there. But he's a wee too bit big. We can't put that there because the torch is there. Oh my gosh. Okay, stick it there for now then. Or you know what? Cancel that. Cancel. We'll make it and we'll plan it out because they're usually about 3 by 3 some of these stations. So stick them here. Once that's gone, we can stick something there, which will be our assembler, which is right here. So again, 3 by 3. So we'll stick that there. Assembler basically makes some different components that will be used on later, like rope. We need rope for our well. And so we already got pine tables going. You know what, we're going to need to get rid of some of these trees. Eventually this will go downstairs, but for right now we're just going to stick it upstairs. Because we only have one miner. Okay. What else do we need from this guy? I already did the well roof, or did I forget about the well roof again? Well roof, let's go ahead and craft that. I mean, we're probably going to need 2 wells after a while anyways. Oh, it's already there, it's fine. Like I said, I've gone to at least 3 wells, because after a while you guys are drinking constantly, especially when you start crops, because of the water source being needed for that. They go through lots and lots of water. Okay, what else do we need? And let's go ahead and click on, see, so that we had enough there. We need 4 chairs for that. Okay, so chairs, make 4 of those puppies. And we can start making another carpenter, because we had 2 carpenters, right? I got distracted again. Yep, we got 2 carpenters. So we'll go ahead and make a second one of these guys. Right there. So what we're missing there is just 3 tables, which he just used to make this thing, so that's fine. And we got them both queued up, so they're making tables at the same time, working together as one unit. Very nice. Okay, how's underground doing? Good? Oh yeah. So let's go ahead and queue up some more stairs to be made so we can start clearing out some more stuff. Keep these guys busy. So let's see, -2, or no, it's 2, so 1 and then 0. If I scroll down here, I went too deep. I think. I'm going to cancel that one just in case. I think I went too deep. It's kind of hard to see because of the... No, I made it perfect. Okay, there's the ground floor. There we go. Or did I go one? I can go one more. It's a little confusing at times, especially when it's dark. It's hard to see. But one more. And then we'll be on this layer, which is 0. There we go. Okay, now we start clearing out this. Make this a little bit bigger. Like so. And then we'll make that another stone storage. And then we can start our stonemason, which will be our well base. And then we have an assembler, so let's go ahead and start making some rope. So I want to maintain at least 5 rope at all time, because it's quite necessary. Futons are the next bed after the pallets, which will get us up to 44. But they're a little more expensive. They need wood, grain, and leather, which is very rare at this point because in order to get more leather, we need a butcher, which means we need to hunt animals to butcher, and it needs a metal knife. And in order to start making metal, which is very crucial, this is very... I messed up one time, and I didn't know this. We have to make a blacksmith, which needs 4 leather. So you can pretty much make 1 futon, and then you have to leave the rest of it. I mean, you can buy stuff. There are merchants, which we can start doing. Oh, actually, let's think about this. Merchants. There's elf merchants, and then there's human merchants. I usually go for the elves because the humans need leather as well, so they're a little more expensive to start doing bartering with. They just need a table, a ammo rack, a log, and 20 of any type of seed. And basically, I don't have anything to sell, but eventually we'll make one. And we can sell junk that we don't need, excess resources that we don't need. When we fight stuff, they will drop things. But I actually found out if you hold on to those things, they're quite useful. Because we can basically take their junky stuff and use it for something that we need. We break it down to its components. So for instance, the goblins wear hats and they have these little knives. We can break the knives down actually into metal, and we can make their hats into leather, which we need at the beginning, and it's very hard to get because basically the butcher, depending on the skill of the butcher, depends on what kind of stuff you get. Like, the better the butcher, the better the drop rate is, basically. Alright, we need another log rack. Now, the thing is, I don't know if I mentioned this. They don't queue up stuff, so this guy needs a log rack to finish his job. So we actually have to queue up and say, hey, build a log rack. Otherwise, they'll never build it on their own. You have to kind of queue up things and keep track of stuff. Okay. There's so much stone down here. Okay, let's go ahead and expand this a little bit more, because I don't want it all right next to this one spot. And then storage will be right here. And this will be for stone and earth. Except for, we can go even more detail, we don't need to bother with the dirt because there's no dirt down here. And we don't need to bother with the coal because that's going up. And oil doesn't need to go in there. Actually, let's stick it there just in case of emergency. And then we're not doing work stone because that's going to go upstairs. Which, before we forget, in case we start doing that, let's go ahead and make a little area for that. About right here. I mean, we're not going to do crazy building. Like, I started building one game quite a bit with the stone walls, but I found out I messed up a little. Because, like I said before, the AI does sieging, which is quite cool. Oh, that's not a good sign. When they can't get something, that means it fell down a hole. Because they got wee little arms, they can't reach it. Oh, good, okay. They found a little hole here, and we got lucky in that it's not very deep hole. So we need to put a torch there pronto. And luckily I have a couple torches left before I ran out. So let's stick that there to keep this little area lit up. Otherwise things could spawn in here. And they can jump up. Some things don't actually jump up, but I've dug into a hole. There were spiders down there, and they managed to jump from the one floor up onto the stairs that I had dug down to get to there on accident. And then they crawled up the stairs. I was like, well, that's great. So we gotta make sure that's lit up in case anything spawns in that one spot. But normally they won't climb up anything except for ramps and stairs. But they are smarter than you'd think. So I built the first, like, try, and that was, I built a wall in one door. And I was like, perfect, I'll funnel them into here, and they will constantly go into this one door. Dwarf not assigned to craft. Oh, yep, I need a rancher. So it's a hunter's workshop, but you need a rancher to work it. So doctor has nothing to do, so we're going to make him the rancher for now. So doctor and ranching. It's a weird thing, but that's why it works. But, yeah, so I had it perfectly planned out, except for the little buggers broke a hole in my wall and then came in the back way. I was like, well, I was not expecting that. Second time, I put a moat around said wall, except I put the moat right next to the wall, and they just built ladders from the moat up and over my wall. So the AI is very good. They're very trickery, to say the least. Okay, so we got straw. We got, let's get more straw. We're going to need lots of it. And our farmers aren't doing anything currently. We're going to need more water because this well's taking a little bit longer because I'm having to dig down there. And I should have enough space down there now. Perfect. Okay, so I go ahead and basic stonemason. So we need 2 more bins and another hammer. We'll stick him there. So 2 more bins. Make sure this guy's queued up to maintain 3 tables. So 2 more bins, and I'm going to need another hammer from this guy. Thought I had an extra one when I queued up for the chisel, but I must have used it for something. Okay, And then we get that guy, we can make the well, and then I have the rope, and then we need the buckets and the well basin from the stone guy, and then we can have water. Perfect. So here's the treats. So we got the Hunter's Lodge, or Hunter's Workshop, can make torches, crude bandages. Oh, we need that too. We want at least 15 of those constantly made. We can make javelins, which is the basic primitive one, because bows need sinew, and the only way to get sinew is either you buy it or you can get it from animals when you butcher them. And then there's the longbow and the composite bow, but they need oil, which I believe is underground. I've never found it yet. You can make arrows or bolts because there's crossbows, but the crossbows need metal. And then there's treats to domesticate the wildlife, which, if we go up here, sorry about that, spam the button. We can see how much wildlife is in here. So say there's 13 bunnies, we can farm 10 bunnies a day if we wanted to, or we could. There's deer, so we can farm deer. So it's a good way to keep track of, you know, the wildlife. I believe certain seasons they're a little bit more, you know, populous, something like. There's more of them. Let's just go that way. There's more of them. Okay, so that's going, and that's going until he gets that done. Let's go ahead and cancel this part. And because they're going to be bugging me about reaching that spot, let's go ahead and dig down one more set of stairs here. Actually, you know what? It's cool in this game. They can dig down the same layer and they can dig above as well. So we can actually have them mine that part just to get rid of it. So he's going to get down there and get the stonemason done. And now we'll have our well going. So we need to get the well done because my stonemason is our miner. And if I have him mine all this stuff, he's going to be busy. So, well, he's going to do the one job first. Let's see. Say this is the hallway. Let's go ahead, and I got it deep enough. Let's go from the stairs here, and we'll carve out, there you go, a 5x5? No. Make it that big. And that'll be our little sleeping quarters, and we can expand that later on. We can make another one over here. This could be a food storage. We can grow mushrooms underground during the winter, because I don't know if you can actually grow during the winter. I haven't gotten that far. But I believe either it slows down or you just can't do anything. And then we can have our cooking stations and other storage down here as well. And that guy is almost done. And there we go. We'll have a well done. And we can start digging. So we have the safety zone, so that means we have to start digging this area out to try to find more coal, because we ran out. So we're going to need lots of coal, so we have plenty of torches being made. So let's go over here. So you can make furniture out of stone as well, so you don't have to make it all out of wood, but I usually use wood because there's tons of it on the surface. You can make a reinforced door, which is a little bit better, but it needs rope. And then we can make rocks again out of the stone. Work stone turns it into buildable things, and we got cauldrons and that for different stuff, so we need at least 2 of those. And at least 2 of those. We might as well make 2 wells. And we can make other things. Let's go ahead. I'm not saying we're going to need them, but we're probably going to a couple graves and then some other stuff for later on. I'm not going to say we're going to need it, but we might. Did I mess up? I did mess up. I made the stairs one more I thought I had it. So we'll have to fix that. The stairs go nowhere. That's fine. It happens. Okay. This guy fell asleep again. Dang it. Alright, so he's got that going. What else can we be doing? We still got wood. We used quite a bit of wood, as you can see. So let's go ahead and have them keep making lots and lots of wood. They're not doing anything. And then, what else could we use? More straw? Did they ever get this straw over here? It looks like they did. Okay, so let's get some more straw going. And a little bit more water for emergency purposes. And you know what? They might as well start collecting this straw because there's no point in keeping that around. I just try to avoid the turnips. Oh, and these. So these are foxglove? Yeah, foxglove. And we don't need them right now, so I'm going to leave them there. But that's basically, you harvest those, and we have to make a brewing station, which needs a metal tap for that, so we can't make it now. But we can make medicine and beer from that same spot, which is a cool feature. So the wounds, basically, if they can use a bandage. They'll fix themselves up with a bandage, but if it gets worse, they can use medicine or another bandage or a better bandage to try to heal themselves. Shh. And so that's where medicine comes into place. Is if they need it, they'll use it, and so it's kind of useful to have some of these around. And the only other way to get them, I believe, is to buy them from the elves. So that's another reason I like to make the elf place a little bit sooner. Speaking of which, let's make an ammo rack, just so we have that ready. Because I'm going to use lots of pine seeds for that bazaar, or whatever it is, market at the beginning. And they spawn, I remember correctly, once every spring, summer, and winter. So, you know, you have to kind of plan it out a little bit. In fact, I don't need anything because I have nothing to trade them, but eventually we're going to... Oh my gosh. I have no idea why, but the dead bunnies start spawning. I don't know if something in the wild kills them or they just die of old age. And then my dwarf goes to pick them up and then brings them. Look, they brought another one. We have 5 dead bunnies. And they're all going to turn into rotten meat eventually, and we'll have to stick them over there. But yeah, it's a weird mechanic, guys. I don't know. Okay, so let's go ahead. I think they got pretty much everything. And we're going to make our first well, and then we're going to cut and call it an episode for now. Where do I want to put this? I'm going to stick it... Now, the trick about the well, I believe it is it needs 2 layers of dirt underneath it. So right now, we can't place it here because it's red. And that's mainly because there's stone right underneath it. There's only 1 layer of dirt and then it's stone. So we need to find some place where there's 2 layers of dirt. Or, like right here, we can probably stick that, and it's pretty decent. So that would be a good first start. We might be able to cheat the system and add a 2nd layer of dirt someplace, and then have the wells go there. I believe that's why it turns red. I kind of figured, I think that's how it works. But anyways, there we go. We got water. We're going to harvest our food from the wildlife for a long, long time. And then now we just need to start making beds, which we can start doing now because we have nothing else to do. Scouting. Oh no! We're going a little extra, guys. We have our first goblins. A little bugger showed up. There he is. So, okay. Pretty sure it's just one guy. Yeah, it is. Go to combat. We're going to check this because I forgot about it. Our soldier would literally go chase him down and try to kill him, except our soldier is wearing plate armor, and he is super slow, and goblins are quite speedy. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to build a little guard station right here. And we're also going to make a safety zone. This isn't actually a safety zone. It just says it is, so we're going to make this underground. It does not protect them from dangers. It just makes them know where to run and hide. And now we go to military, and we can drag and click our soldiers, which is our 1 warrior, and go over there, and then civilians can go here, and then there we go. So there's militia, and there's tons of other stuff we'll get into later, but this is our first taste. So now our civilians will run and hide underground, and our 1 warrior here, hopefully, maybe, he may have already been set on his destination. Yep, he has. He would have normally gone and hid or stood there, and when the enemy got closer, he'd go attack them, but instead he's going to go and actually try to engage this guy. See, he's so quick, and he is a little slow. But yeah, you can build lots of different things. Look, he's so slow. He's literally going to come in here and try to murder our dwarves before this guy gets a chance to do anything. So there's a different mechanic there. You need sometimes speedy guys, not just all tanky guys. Look at this 1 goblin. And so now we have to do this now. So we're going to do attack mode. We're going to click on this 1 square, and we're going to tell the soldiers and the civilians so that every single guy in here will beat the heck out of this 1 goblin, hopefully. There we go. And now we killed our first goblin. The roundabout way, but we did it. And there we go, guys. That's our first taste of Lord of Dwarves. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know in the comments if you have. And feel free to like the video if you enjoyed it as well, because it helps both me and the video get a little bit more attention so that the developer can have more people see what this game's all about. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.